Tick-tock, time to rock. And shalom. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon to everyone who's watching from all over the world. It's your friendly neighborhood philosopher here and your friendly neighborhood apostate prophet. How you doing?
Good. Shalom. How are you doing?
Hey, how you doing?
Good. How are you doing?
Good, shalom.
Good. Oh, wow. Fantastic.
Hey.
Yes.
If you go back a couple of decades, the claim was, hey, these Palestinians, they've been on that land for a while. And then the Jews came and pushed them off. And so you had to have that discussion. Then it changed to like people on Twitter, like Jews were never there, period. It was always Palestinians, and Jews didn't show up until the 20th century, which is absolutely insane. So I'm responding to that absolutely insane claim in a simple fashion. Namely, the Quran talks over and over and over again about the children of Israel, and even about Allah ordering the children of Israel to take the Holy Land. Never once mentions any Palestinians. And I gave them two options. I said, you can say that the Canaanites were the Palestinians. You can make that claim, or you could say the Palestinians came along later. Either way. So notice, if you say that the Palestinians were the Canaanites, then Allah ordered the children of Israel to conquer them. Or you could say they came later, in which case, stop this stupid claim. But no matter what the case is, the Quran talks about the children of Israel in the land. So if you're some idiot on Twitter saying, oh, they were never there until the 20th century, then you're kind of a moron. For a decade, Muhammad is preaching in Mecca, and you don't have the Jewish tribes there. Muhammad's preaching in Mecca, and he's preaching, the Jews will know me when they see me. The Jews are going to know me. The Jews are going to admit that I'm a true prophet. The Jews will recognize me from the descriptions of me in the Torah. And he spends 10 years telling them that. And then they actually move to Medina, where you have 3 Jewish tribes. Muhammad, the whole way, guys, wait till these Jews see me. These Jews are going to say, yep, that's our prophet. The Jews are going to affirm me as a true prophet. He really boosts them up as authorities in matters of religion, and as authorities in the Torah, and in the description of him in the Torah. And so he does that for 10 years. And then they move to Medina. Yeah, and the Jews basically are ready to laugh him out of the city, claiming to be a prophet. So that's what that rejection and Muhammad's psychological problems with his attachment issues, which go back to his childhood. He couldn't stand rejection. That's why, you beat your wife into submission. That's why no one can leave Islam. You have to chop his head off. This guy's obsessed with controlling everything and not allowing anyone to ever abandon him. And so he views the Jews as horrible, horrible people for rejecting him. But think about this, because this leads to all the problems. Muhammad had claimed that he's very clearly mentioned in the Torah. We're still waiting on that. Muslims still keep coming, but Song of Solomon, which isn't even the Torah, but Song of Solomon 5:16. It's like the dumbest stuff we've ever seen in our lives. We're still waiting for these clear references. But Muhammad's followers at that time, they don't know anything about what's in the Torah. They're completely ignorant. They just know, it's this book that the Jews have, and it talks about Muhammad. And so the Jews will confirm it when we get to them. They get there, and the Jews laugh him, are ready to laugh him out of the city. What do you have to say at that point? If he is clearly referred to in the Torah, if he's clearly there, it's indisputable, as he was claiming, and the Jews reject him, what's that mean? It means they know it. They know he's a true prophet, and they're rejecting him, in which case they're just evil, and they're trying to lead people away, and they have to be subjugated and eventually exterminated, according to Muhammad. That's how we get to the situation that we're in right now. The real issue with the obsession with Israel is that if Allah has said the Jews rebelled and broke their covenant, and so Allah punished them, then he gave them a second chance, returned them to the land, and they did the same thing, and then so he punished them again and expelled them from the land, and that's the punishment. And so this is just the final punishment for them. They're done. And then they show up and take over the land. It's kind of like Allah got overpowered, right? It's it kind of seems like that. And what do you do? You think that they're like AP, as far as what's going on psychologically? It's like, if you're a Muslim, hey, we're supposed to expand and expand and expand and expand and expand and take over the entire world. And meanwhile, Christians are way more powerful than us. Jews are way more powerful than us. Atheists are everyone's way more powerful than us and way better at making country. This is not how things are supposed to be. And the idea that Jews are just going to be able to come back and have a country again, right in the middle of us, right in the middle of 49 Muslim countries, there's nothing we can do about it. It's like Israel showed up and just slapped Allah in the face and said, "Shut up," right?
It is about religion, and Muslims are very passionate about this whole topic, about how Muslims are the rightful ones, and every Muslim is supposed to support the Palestinians because of that, especially since they are fighting the worst guys ever, which are the Jews. It is often brought up as a question, like, if we are the good ones, and if Allah is with us, and if those people are just evil, just messed up, how is it happening? Why is it happening that they're just totally dominating right now, and our guys stand no chance at all? And then the response is usually, Allah gives this world to the disbelievers and the afterlife to the believers. He's just testing them right now, but he's going to reward the believers in the afterlife, and so on. All of these wishful thinking things that you could tell your children, but in this case you just tell it a lot of other people who are culturally children on a certain level. So but they have to somehow accept it. They have to somehow accept the fact that the Jews are not subjects anymore, are not our obedient subjects anymore, that we can put them in their place if whenever they misbehave. No, they are now independent people who possess the land that was supposed to be taken by the Muslims and kept, because that's what Muhammad also said, according to the hadith. He promised that the Muslims will go and fight and take the land, and all of that. Of course, these hadiths come long after the Quran, probably, and were probably made up by other Muslims who somehow had to justify their conquests and had to explain everything in a different light. But Muslims just can't accept this. They have big difficulties dealing with the fact that the Jews eventually emerged victorious, and that the Muslims seem pretty hopeless right now in this fight. And they think that's why they hold on to the idea that this is not how it will end. Mm-hmm. The time will probably come soon, in some near future, where the tide will turn, and then the prophecies as they were spoken by Muhammad will be fulfilled, and the Jews will be hiding behind rocks and trees, and we will go and kill them. So this whole issue has really increased the hate and the resentment that these people already had to a very, very serious, messed up level.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned some of the possible possible Islamic interpretation of what's happening right now is that Allah is somehow testing them or something like that. So guys, this is where I ultimately want to head with this. I don't mean in this live stream, although we'll say it in this live stream, but I mean, again, over time, why is there this obsession, this absolute obsession with destroying Israel? Because it doesn't fit very well. It just doesn't fit very well. It's another thing that's apparently wrong with Islam and the Quran. If Allah says, I put you in the land and then you rebelled, and so I punished you, and then I brought you back and you rebelled again, and then I decided that's it, it's done, I'm taking you off the land, you're done, and then they come back, it's like, what just happened? What just happened? And so you can either conclude that Israel overpowered Allah, i.e. the Quran is wrong, Islam is false, something along those lines, which you don't want to conclude if you're a Muslim. You do not want to conclude that. And therefore, your other options, very similar to what we've said with the West in general, you can interpret this, the collapse of the Ottoman Empire. Your Islamic alternatives are either that Allah's testing you. He's giving you this obstacle so that you can continue striving for it and so on. And he's testing you. Or he's punishing you through Israel, right? He's using Israel to punish you for not enforcing Sharia or something like that. And so Allah's either punishing you with Israel or he's testing you with Israel. And so what I find interesting is if you want to say that it's just a test, which is how probably most Muslims interpret this. This is a test. It's a challenge. Yes, something is out of whack, but Allah is giving us the the opportunity to fix this. And you say, okay, how is Allah, the creator of the universe, helping you go about this? It's like, what? You guys are teaming up with communists and a bunch of brainwashed college students and gays, queers for Palestine, and this is your group. And you go around the entire world whining like babies after slaughtering a bunch of people and taking a bunch of hostages and then claiming that you're the victims. And it's just like endless whining and crying. Oh, UN, come rescue us. UN, come help us. Oh, court, you court, come help us. Oh, all you nations, come help us. Will you help us? Will you help us get those Jews? You guys got 49 Muslim countries and Allah on your side and the final prophet with the final revelation, the final book. You've got it all. And you're running around the world like little beggars. Please, will you help us with those 15 million Jews on the entire planet? Please, we only have 2 billion people. They've got 15 million. Can you please help us destroy them? Come on.
Dude, don't you know that the Quran says, do not take the Christians and Jews as allies. Instead, take the gays and the neo-Nazis as allies.
Yep, neo-Nazis. I forgot to mention neo-Nazis on their side.
And the communists.
Neo-Nazis, communists. This is Allah, ladies and gentlemen. So, guys, note this is why I say I want to turn the discussion in this direction over time. I want it to be this is Allah. This is your God. Oh, please, LGBTQ and neo-Nazis and communists, come rescue me, college students, because Allah just seems really, really helpless right now. This is it's pretty. There's a lot of stuff that's going on that is absolutely not hilarious, but this is just hilarious. Like we've got the final book, the final prophet, we've got God on our side, we've got everything, and there's this tiny little nation that just keeps crushing and owning us. Israel is a psychological slap in the face to Islam.
Yeah.
And that's why they're losing their minds over it. Deep down, they feel like it's a refutation of their religion. And if they can't win against that little tiny country, what does that say? What's that say about the Ummah? And again, this is the same issue they have with the West. For up until the 20th century, Muslims always had a really big, powerful empire. And all of a sudden, Western nations could just slap them around like they're nothing. And it's like started destroying their confidence in Islam. And that's why they had to interpret this. Maybe Allah is punishing us, or maybe he's testing us, and we really have to crack down. And this is where you get the revolution in Iran. It's where you get the Muslim Brotherhood. Everyone starts, we need to crack down. It's where you eventually get ISIS from. The light at the end of the tunnel in all this, ladies and gentlemen, is the Ummah is getting pretty desperate. Da'is are getting pretty desperate. They got the avalanche of apostasy in front of them. They can't win against the West. They can't win against a tiny little nation like Israel. They're feeling really bad. And that makes them really aggressive. They think violence is the solution to anything, the Dawa guys. And so they're encouraging the Palestinians to just keep fighting, keep terrorizing. And if they lose this, if Israel crushes Hamas, gets their hostages back, big loss for the Ummah. I think they're going to have problems thinking that this is going to work again in the future. They will, but I mean, the avalanche of apostasy is going to continue, and people are going to catch on. Wait a minute, Allah just doesn't seem to have our back here in any of this. We just keep getting less and less powerful. Our nations are crumbling. All people want to do is flee our nations. And then in the heart of Islam, Saudi Arabia, what are they doing? Opening bikini beaches and now legalizing drinking and having Iggy Azalea twerk on stage while singing "Worship the Goddess" before you and stuff. What is the hope? What is the hope? So, the biggest issue here, and I mean that I see with all of this is, as we've mentioned, Israel doesn't want to treat this like a religious issue. And that does make sense for them. They do have lots of Muslims who live in Israel, and they don't want to say, hey, this is a big religious battle or something like this. But the problem is it's a religious battle for the Muslim side. And Israel doesn't want to respond to the religious claims. They don't. We've seen this from everyone, right? I mean, we saw when Rabbi Shmuley was on with us. He was defending Islam. This stuff has nothing to do with Islam. Muhammad Hijab, he's just no, this is all an embarrassment, all this. And we heard that over and over and over again from Israeli Jews when we were in Israel, even from the families of hostages, like people whose families are still being, like whose family members are still being held hostage. They're always careful to say, and we understand this is not about Islam, and this has nothing to Islam has nothing to do with this stuff. And so the ongoing problem is Israel's going to have no problem taking control of Gaza if that's what they decide to do. But you're talking about how do you like re-educate the people so that they give up on the terrorism. How do you do that without going after the religious ideas? And they're not going to want to go after the religious ideas. And if they did go after the religious ideas, you'd have all the Muslim nations around the world. Look, they're attacking the religion they invaded, and then they're attacking the religion, which is what Islam always does. But if anyone else were to do that and criticize Islam, they've got the problem. And so they're in an awkward spot of not being able to get to the root of the problem. And that just means that someone else has to do it. So we'll take care of that for you, Israel. We'll take care of that for you.
That is the thing. Whenever I discuss with anybody, with important people, with others there in Israel, it's like I had to convince everyone that I talk to that Islam is, that it's not just extremism or not just a strain, not just an interpretation, not just a certain movement. No, it's like Islam itself is problematic, and I still get lots of pushback to people that I talk to in Jerusalem and elsewhere. I remember sitting down and having a long conversation with somebody for like half an hour before our interview on whether I'm sure that it's Islam, and I'm like, yes, it is. Look, I can show you. It's right here. And still it was like, yeah, okay, but maybe things can change.
Yeah, they can. You just have to shake everyone's confidence in Islam. But that's what they're not going to want to do.
But this is the messed up thing. Like we are told, Muslims are always told that Israelis, Jews, they hate Islam. They want to eradicate Islam. They're against Islam. They vilify Islam. And then you go to Israel and everyone is like, oh, no, I don't think Islam is the problem.
Yeah. And then when I step on a Quran, then we get contacted by the government. Yes. Hey, take that down. Take that down. You can't do that here. It's like, wait, these are the great Islamophobes of the world. Like, I can't even step on a Quran. What the heck?